What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, Ace's Place 22, where I'm Ace, and this is my Place 22, and this is Ace's Thrills and Chills Movie Reviews Night number 16. Yeah. We're going to talk a little bit about horror movies. One specific movie I'm going to talk about a little bit more in depth than the other two. There's three altogether. Let's get into it. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. The first two movies I'm going to chit-chat about is the very first ever Jaws movie. Now, this came out in, 1970-something, maybe? Yeah, 75. I wanted to say 78. But 1975, this movie put fear into an entire generation of people in a completely different way. You know, it's a monster movie, but it's not The Thing. It's not The Fly. It's not the creatures from outer space or whatever. It's something that exists on our planet. It's something that exists within the depths of our waters that we go into every single day, depending on where you live. It's a real fear. And this movie is a absolute classic. I think this is its 50th anniversary this year. I believe it's still that. And it is just absolutely awesome. I mean, you've got classic characters like Brody and Quinn and Hooper. Right, Hooper? Why does Hooper sound weird to me? Hooper or Hunter? Not Hunter. It's right there. It says Hunter. But it's wicked awesome. Steven Spielberg, there we go. I forgot to mention him. He directed this. This is one of his best films of all time. My daughter and I sat down and watched this earlier. You cannot go wrong with this movie. Jaws is awesome. Check out the second one after that. Stay away from them. Next up is a movie my daughter wanted to watch because she has never seen it in her entire life. And I promised her this year she could watch a few new spooky season movies that she's never watched before. And she wanted to check out the original Stephen King's Children of the Corn. I don't know who directed it. Fritz Kirsch. Sure. You've got Linda Hamilton herself in this. Peter Horton. He's familiar, but I can't picture what the heck else he's in. But you got just a weird story about kids or a child that is corrupted by a demon, he who walks among the rows, and he is just having the children of this town make sacrifices with their families and their parents and what have you. It's a very odd movie. No adults are allowed in the town. They get slaughtered for the greater good of the corn. I'm not really sure. But this is not a terrible movie. It holds some level of classicness. It's not game-changing. It wasn't my generation, so even when I watched this in the 90s, I wasn't like, whoa, that's a scary movie. I was definitely freaked out because anyone that's watching this video, you're going to understand exactly what I'm saying. Movies, when you watch them back in the day on VHS or even TV, and it was the grainy filter and just the weird audio, and it wasn't the clean, crisp sound and visuals that a DVD provides, it just added a completely different element of realism. Like, it's so different. It was so different back in the day. And horror movies just hit on a whole different level. But what we're going to talk about now, and this movie falls under completely that same category, and that is absolutely cult classic Pumpkinhead. I don't know when this came out. Hold on, let me look. 1988. 1980 freaking 8. This movie is a classic in my opinion. Pumpkinhead does not get enough love, does not get enough recognition. Didn't unfortunately make it into the realm of monster movies or iconic monster movies. But absolutely awesome film. Now, right out the get-go, there's not a lot of straight horror of, like, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street where there's constant gore and freaky stuff happening all the time. This is very much a slow burn. And I'm not saying like, oh my god, it drags on. I'm just saying Pumpkinhead does not come into this film until the third act of the movie, which is not a problem personally for me. I like the build-up. I like the story. You get Lance Hendrickson, right? Henriksen. He was in the Alien movies. He was in Alien vs. Predator. I believe he was in... Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. But if you see him, you recognize him, you know who he is. He plays the dad in this movie, and he is very, very good. The story centers around, and it's a very simple story, and I love it. Centers around a dad and his son who live out in the sticks, and they own like a little general store. A group of teenagers is coming through the area. They're just looking for a spot to ride their dirt bikes and stuff. The little kid is captivated by, you know, the big dirt bikes and what have you. An accident unfortunately happens where one of the dirt bikes hits the little boy, causing him to sustain some injuries. And upon so, the father, you know, comes eventually and finds out what happened to his son. Son ends up passing away, which in a really sad fashion. Like, I'm watching this with my daughter, and even she is saying, she's like, he really loves his son. Because there's one particular scene where they're washing their hands together and stuff like that. And it's just really well done. Makes you feel intimate. Like, oh, I've been in this moment before. And I've actually watched an interview with Lance where he put that scene in the movie for the same reason that you get the vibe of like, this feels like a father and a son, like a genuine moment. It's heartwarming. It's really nice. So when that inevitable moment happens of the boy passing away in the father's arms, I feel it. Like, it's not a movie where it's drawn out on all the emotion like that, but it's there. They play into it, but it's not like get your sad violin out. It's very quick move to the next thing. But in that moment, it is very heartbreaking. You do feel the dad's loss. You feel his pain. And then he, in his moment of grief, he comes to this realization of like, oh, at least you put these pieces together. There's this witch that I know of out in the woods that can, you know, hearken revenge or what have you. And I need to go speak to this individual, blah, 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 blah. He ends up going out to the woods, finding this witch, and asking her, like, hey, I know you can do things. Please help me, you know, do what's right. She tells him what you want done is going to come at a heavy price, but if you want it to be done, this is what you got to go do. He goes to this burial site, this cemetery where Pumpkinhead is actually buried, and resurrects him, like unburies him, brings the dead corpse back to the witch. The witch resurrects Pumpkinhead in a fashion that only like the 80s and 90s horror movies can do, with the strobe lights, the lightning sounds, the crazy over-the-top sound effects and cutting back and forth that'll give you, you know, a headache, but it's good stuff. It's very fun. Now, you learn this throughout the remainder of the movie, but Lance Hendrick's character, his soul is intertwined with Pumpkinhead's. So what Pumpkinhead essentially feels is through Lance's own pain. So if Lance gets punched, Pumpkinhead feels it. You know what I mean? So it's very... I don't remember seeing a lot of movies like this as a kid. So to me, it stands out really, really as like its own beast. So anyways, Pumpkinhead gets resurrected and is going out and looking for the teenage group that hurt that boy, because Pumpkinhead's purpose is now, after he's been resurrected, is to seek revenge on those who's done wrong to whoever is affiliated with Pumpkinhead's resurrection. I'm assuming that's how it works. Goes, hunts down these individuals, does what he needs to do, picks them off one by one, It's not a gory movie. You're not seeing people's limbs get ripped apart and all sorts of stuff like that. But it alludes to like a lot of graphic stuff. It is bloody, but not like gross and violent. Very tame, honestly, for a movie that has a creature like this that is called Pumpkinhead. Maybe you can see a little bit of it on the back. It is very, very reminiscent of a xenomorph from the Alien movies. Ironic, Lance Hendrickson's in that. But it also reminds me very much so of a pizza monster from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series. If you don't know what that is, go give it a Google and give Pumpkinhead a Google as well, and you'll be like, oh, sugar, that's the same beast. I love the Pumpkinhead design. He's slaughtering, for lack of better words, these individuals, and then it comes down to, and each time Pumpkinhead kills somebody, Lance Hendrickson's character feels it and goes through like this trauma bit of like, oh my god, this isn't right, this isn't what I wanted. But that's the price he has to pay, is the fact that he is now intertwined with this beast, and he has to, I don't want to use the word suffer, but he basically has to suffer the violence that Pumpkinhead dishes out to people. So in doing so, he realizes, oh my god, the only way to stop Pumpkinhead is to stop myself. Pretty silly scene at the end of the movie. He shoots himself in the head, leading you to believe that Lance Hendrickson's character, that is, shoots himself in the head. I think his name is Ed. I don't remember. Yeah, Ed. His name is Ed. So Ed shoots himself in the head. This is the silly scene where he like stumbles from like behind a garage or something like that, and it's like, really, you just shot yourself in the head and you're able to walk? Stranger things have happened. He falls to the ground, does not die. Pumpkinhead, gets back up off the ground, because as soon as Ed shoots himself in the head and falls to the ground, Pumpkinhead does the same thing. Ed is still alive, so Pumpkinhead stands back up, ready to kill people. And Ed is like, kill me, and the girl just, that was at the end of the movie, one of the survivors just shoots him, ultimately killing him. And in doing so, the last 2 or 3 survivors are left. Ed's body is left there, and Pumpkinhead's body ignites on fire, burning it to basically a crisp, leaving no signs of Pumpkinhead left behind. We kind of get a nice little, like, okay, here the people lived, and they're going to go off, walk into the sunset. And then you get the witch. You see her on top of the mound where Pumpkinhead's body used to be, and she's laying a body into the grave. And you can see the body is, like, shriveled up, and it's small, and it looks like Pumpkinhead's corpse when Ed dug it up. But it's got, like, hair on it and stuff like that, and it's a little, like, gross. So as she's, putting the body in the hole and she's throwing dirt onto it, the camera kind of like, zooms in on the body, and you notice, and I forgot to mention this, but you notice there is a necklace on the corpse, and it's like a little clay figure. And earlier in the movie, the son actually gave the dad that necklace, I think for his birthday or something. Yawning during a video. But he, and then that's the end of the movie. That's the end of the movie. And you are now under the presumption that the new Pumpkinhead body is going to be Ed's body. And it's just like a circle of life kind of thing. Like, you sacrifice your soul to resurrect Pumpkinhead, but you essentially will take his place once he's gone. I don't think I ever picked up on that as a kid. I've definitely watched this movie over the years, so I know that is how it goes. I personally like it. I like that a lot. It's more... I don't want to say it. It's more of a monster movie than a actual monster movie. Does it make sense? Because it's like, damn, that dad was just grieving. He just wanted his son back. He would have done anything for it. He knew what, this resurrection of this beast or whatever was going to cost him, kinda. But like now it's forever indebted. Like he's going to be the next Pumpkinhead, and it's just, is it worth it? You know what I mean? It kind of makes me think of Pet Sematary, of something passing away and you doing whatever you can to bring it back to life, but it doesn't come back the way you remember it. I like that idea a lot. I think that is a pretty realistically scary idea, honestly. And there's probably plenty more movies like that. But I like that it's a monster movie and not just like a psychological thriller or something like that, too. Because I feel like that would be a lot of psychological thrillers. But I'm rambling now because I've run out of things to say about this movie. Other than, there are a couple of sequels. I think the second one is called Blood Wings. I know it's a little bit more violent because I do kind of remember some of the scenes in that movie from when I was a kid. I don't have that one on DVD, so I won't be reviewing it. There might be more. I don't know. This is definitely a movie, in my opinion, that needs a reboot or a modern day interpretation or whatever you want to call it, because this is a great monster movie. It does bring the thrills, and it does bring the chills. When they show Pumpkinhead, it's great scenery, it's very creepy, it's scary, it's all of the stuff you want it to be in a monster flick, and then everything else in between is just the bread and... Wait, the bread and the butter? I don't know. It's all there. Check it out. This has been another Aces, Thrills, and Chills movie review of a few movies. So thank you guys for watching, and until next time...